Hello, and welcome to the Fox Strength and Performance YouTube channel, if you want to call it that, because at this point I really don't know what this is, but I've wanted to make this video for a couple months, I guess, and the channel itself for several years, and finally getting around to doing something, so here we go. Diving into what this is kind of based around strongman and the year I've had in 2023 and just kind of a general outlook on things and progressing towards the future. So I had a lot of big plans for this year. Strongman Corp show that I started off with, like looking to do nationals and then OSG. I definitely felt like I had a good experience jumping back in at the beginning of the year, and even though like I kind of fell short of my goal, like it was like I hadn't competed in months and moved, set up a home gym, like dealing with family and everything, like getting back into competition was good, and to just kind of like get through a comp that was pretty tough and like had some unexpected factors. So we hit that, and I placed third in that show in April in Virginia. And then I was just like moved on. They announced the regional shows for OSG, and I was like, I'm all in on this, and just keep like pushing forward for that. I trained really hard. It's tough. I think training in the summer in general is pretty tough for me. Our garage isn't climate controlled, but I really just had to push, and like circus dumbbell has always been something I struggle with, and I was like, I like can't even think about the other things I had to do like in a particular session for pressing. Like I just sat there for 3 hours and just worked on pressing technique with the dumbbell and just kept pushing myself until my body and nervous system would cooperate, and like I really started to make progress, and I was really proud of like where I ended up with that event at the end of the year. Other than that, like everything kind of went like pretty well, and I didn't feel a lot of like aches and pains and beat up going into that show. And then we get down there, it was like, like 10-hour trip with kids and everything, and we got Chinese food the night before, and I woke up in the morning, threw up once in the hotel, threw up once in the parking lot, ended up getting an IV on site with Zolfran, and that like calmed me down. And then like everything I just did after that was kind of like exhausting. So it's like the dumbbell reps didn't feel that hard, but every single time it was like I was sweating more, had to put more effort in, and I literally like had 230 at lockout and like just couldn't hold it, and I ended up like slamming it down on my ear, which is definitely a pleasant experience. It was that, and then car deadlift where like I hit 13, but it was just like I felt like everything kind of like closing in around me, and I was like, I don't know where I am, and I don't know how many reps I have, and just kept kind of pulling until I was like, I feel like I should stop, and then I like took a break, and then I pulled another rep and another one, and then I got off balance, and I couldn't really dig out a 14th. And after that, I was just like spent and had to lay down for a while. But like moving on from that, then I felt like okay and fine, and everything just kind of like fell where it did. I'm definitely proud of like where I've ended up on like medley and running and moving events this year, and I really was able to push that and kind of solidify myself up there, at least in the top five. And then at that point, like keg being last event, load for max reps, like everybody was just done. So it's kind of like that one rep, like one way or another, is going to make a huge difference. But I was just like, I loaded my seventh and my quads were blown up and cramping, and that was really all I had. So I ended up fourth and kind of like hoping for an invite anyway, even though it wasn't going to be an automatic. But I moved on from that. I was like, I'm not going to just sit around and wait. So I went for the online qualifier. Like week two, ramping my deadlift back up. I lock out 727, felt easy, but my SI just jerked out of place. And so then I'm doing with that. I'm like, when can I even lift again, like heavy? Trying to rehab that. It ended up being like a lot bigger problem than I thought it was going to be, and I really had to kind of fight through it. And it was like affecting me at work, affecting me with activities of daily living. So, like at one point, I was just kind of like, I want to be able to live and work comfortably, not like even caring about lifting heavy again and competing in strongman. But that did clear up, but it gave me like so many issues with the clean, and I would like get bouts of vertigo, like holding extension for the press. Um, and I pulled a 727 double, but it was like easy, and I knew I had more, but then I'm like, I don't feel comfortable with this, and I feel like this is where I need to be reacclimating my lower back to heavy weight instead of trying to like push for a max. So I was kind of just like, that's where I'm leaving it, and I had accepted at that point, and took like a week off after that, and really to reset. And obviously, it didn't really work out for me with OSG, which is okay. But I was like, I need to like figure something out, and like I feel like I can keep pushing, and like I'd gotten back into training, and I was feeling pretty good, and like I had some more to give. So I ended up doing Newcastle Chaos in Delaware, which was a good time, and I had never been down there. So I got to meet like Kaz and all those people at the training center, and I think that was a really good experience for me, and ended up winning that. So I qualified for Strongman Corp Nationals next year. Again, hit another PR on circus dumbbell, but also just like I pushed like through a deadlift ladder with hook grip for everything except for the axle and the car, and like that went really well. And that's something I haven't done before, but I know that I'm capable of with a hook grip that I've practiced for several years in powerlifting and strongman. So I was really excited to kind of test that out. And then the medley was fun. Like I really never one motion to stone in competition, so being able to do three in a row like that was cool. And then load some like moderately heavy stones that were kind of dusty and like interfered with the tacky a little bit, and I still got it done in a pretty quick time. And I think like overall, like I could look at it as a pretty disappointing year. I feel like I've always had like big plans, and then year after year, it's kind of like a little bit shorter than what I had envisioned. But it's also like you have to look at it from like years of progress. Like in 2022, I pulled 845. Like 2023, I've hit like 210 and 215 dumbbells in competition. Like I certainly think I was capable of a 100 kilo dumbbell. Like I've really pushed like my advantages and my experience in conditioning and moving events, and like I know I'm well prepared for those. Like I can kind of take that to a lower priority in training because like I know I'm well conditioned, and I know I can like move with these implements. So like you have to think over the course of another prep, like how many exposures are you going to have to each event. Like I probably want to be working on more of the pressing, sandbag throwing, grip work. Like I don't need to do 15 runs of a sandbag medley or Husafel carry in a prep for a contest. Like I'll do it a couple times, like run some lighter weights, run the competition weight, but I'm not gonna like blow myself out trying to prep for that event when I need, like, obviously I have shorter, like, more events that are like lagging, and I need to really push those to like bring a full package to a contest. Um, and then it's like, you're never really gonna get to where like you want to go ultimately. Like you can always add another pound to the bar. You can always like make an event 10 feet longer. You can always like go for more time with like a max carry, but like you just kind of keep trying to push forward and improve. Like, and I've like certainly done that. And like clients that I've worked with have certainly done that. So like I've seen people like work for 16 weeks and kind of come short in a contest, but then they're like, hey, like I am so much stronger than I was a year ago, 2 years ago. Like I'm going up against more competitive guys on like really like difficult events. And it's like not every contest is going to be catered towards you. And if like you are doing better in a set of 5 events that aren't really your strong suits compared to like a year or two ago, you did a contest where like it really did like line up well for you. Like that's huge, and that is really something you should be proud of. And I feel like taking that mental aspect and really like championing that in your mind and taking that attitude forward is really going to push you. And like I wrote something about this when I was in grad school, and I think maybe I couldn't sort my thoughts together, and the professor was just like, I don't understand what you're saying. But like it's that idea that like, oh my god, like I hit this like second weight out of 3 attempts, and it's a PR, and it was 10 pounds, but I really wanted like that 45-pound PR, and I missed it at my knees. Like you should still be proud of the PR that you hit, and continue to take that forward and know that you are continuing to get stronger. Versus if you like really doubt yourself and get down on yourself, and you bring like negativity into the next block of training that event, like it's really going to hinder your progress and keep you and hold you back from where you want to be. Um, you know, I obviously was very motivated after doing this PAX contest and doing OSG and like going up against some like really high level competition, but at the same time, like you have to think of where your body is and like the amount of stress you've put on it. So I've kind of like taken the last month off, and here I am, like second day back into training, like feeling pretty good, and obviously not like where I am or where I want to be like statically, but that's just kind of like how it goes. Like if you take that much time off, like you have to kind of reignite those nervous adaptations. So like, no, I'm not going to come in and be able to squat 600 for 8 today, but like I did a solid set of 8. I benched yesterday, and like I'm making it happen. And like slowly over the next 6 weeks, over the next 12 weeks, like you see everything kind of come back up, and that'll be nice. But like I do feel like a lot of people will jump back into a block and be like, well, now I need to train for this next event that's 6 months from now. And like it's a long road, and it's like, when are you going to take a deload? Or are you going to take time off like 6 weeks from now after you start this block, 12 weeks from now? Like that's really can screw up your peaking cycle down the road when you actually want to get to the last 6 weeks, last 4 weeks of prep, and like really push it for this next event that you're excited for. But you're sitting 4 to 6 months out, and you're so anxious to train that like you can't even just like settle down for a little bit and take it easy, so that your joints and your your nervous system and your body overall can recover, so you can like put it all in when you do get back to a prep. So those are the big things. Like I always kind of like, I'm like, I don't care where I'm at. I'm gonna take some time off. I'm gonna let my body weight come down. I'm going to drop the calories a little bit, or like I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting, and just kind of like dial it back. Like you don't need to be shoveling food into your mouth year round. You don't need to be over 300 pounds year round. And if you are, like, that's really just going to take a toll. And like I've seen it with a lot of guys that just like the injuries start to build up, and it's not like a catastrophic thing like a bicep tear, but it's just like, oh, like I had a shoulder thing, and then all of a sudden like my foot started hurting, and then my knee aches, so now I can't squat, but I'm going to keep training. Like it's really crucial to take those things into account and like kind of just look at where you are through a yearly cycle, which I feel like we've gotten a lot of points from like Louis Simmons and like the Soviet authors and the super training, Melsif and stuff like that. Like here's a yearly approach to training, not just like what's on deck for the next 3 months and then move on and go on to something else. Like you need to really map it out and think about like where do you want to be at this point in the year versus this point. It's really like a business. Like you want to have quarterly goals, you want to have like quarterly check-ins, you want to think about like what's gonna be the best case scenario for you over the next like half of the year, and like when should you like look to kind of shut things down versus pushing things as hard as you can go and take it from there. But I am 2 days in, first week. I'm running my Becoming an Apex Predator program. It is a conjugate based wave format. So normal conjugate, which I've run a lot, you do 1s to 3s, you rotate movements every week. I'm really a big fan of how Matt Wenning lays it out and kind of like take the movements a little bit farther, like run them through 3-week waves so you can get the most out of like that adaptation to hitting it. And then I always like feel like I suffer a little bit from the lack of high reps in a conjugate or concurrent format. So I am doing 8s for the first week, and I think that's good too because I'm kind of just getting back into it. So it's like I don't want to hit a heavy 3 to 5 or a single. So just kind of like being able to ease into it and not go crazy heavy, but still hit some solid numbers and get some good work in. And eventually, like I'll, progress it back up. But it's gonna go 8s, 5s, and then a 8. Between a single and a triple, kind of where I feel like it falls, and I want to hit like a weight at that movement. I'm emphasizing more time under tension with the dynamic stuff to start. So I want to do some pauses on the box with box squats. I'm do some pauses either at the chin or on the chest with pressing. Not your traditional dynamic effort, but that varies on how much of the stretch reflex is retained. The elastic energy as you lower the bar, like when you pause for that, 2-3 seconds, like you're certainly not, you may not save everything. Some athletes have that ability, but you're certainly retaining something there and just kind of trying to push that energy. We see a lot of events in strongman where you do have to sit down and lap a stone or lap a keg, and it's like you're not popping right out of the hole real quick. Like certainly with a log, not everyone is going to lap a 400 log and just like pop it right up into a front rack. And then when you do clean it, it's like you can't just go right into a press. So it is a lot of time under tension. And I feel like these pauses with the dynamic effort to kind of prioritize that pause and that waiting moment, and then be able to exert force in a sort of quick burst and be powerful out of the hole or into lockout is a big factor. I am probably going to put it out, but I'm going to run 6 weeks, and then I'm going on vacation for a week, and then I'll do another 6 weeks after. If anyone is interested in running it along with me, please reach out. We can set something up. If there's multiple people, do a group and kind of like talk about like the different training aspects and review questions, video critiques, stuff like that. So that's kind of a different thing I'm trying to open up with the programming to make it more fun and kind of like involve some people and some different stuff. But if you have any other questions, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below. If you hated it, leave a comment below anyway. I don't care, but I'm trying to do more of this also based around the just different exercise variation videos that I've been uploading, just to try to give people some more content and information and interact and have some fun with the sport, because that's what it's all about. But until then, hold strong, and we'll see you next time.